Hey, Moon lovers. Welcome to another episode of All Things Moon with myself, Kelly Jones, Lunar Wisdom for everyday life. And I am feeling the Venus entering Leo energy. As you can see, I have totally dressed up today for you, all things disco. I got these fantastic earrings from a company called Wonky Wear. Just absolutely love them. And yeah, I am feeling the entrance of Venus into Leo today, the 13th of June. And the reason that we're here, new moon in Gemini, which for most places is between the 14th to the 15th. So here in the UK, I think it's at I probably have got the time written down here somewhere at, I think it's 0350. Yeah, 0354 on the 15th. So that's really early hours of Monday morning. So I will be holding my new moon in Gemini online moon ceremony on Sunday evening, which is tomorrow evening at 8 p.m. UK time. It's always 8 p.m. till 9:30, although we do usually chat until about 9:45. But you are definitely ready for bed, done some journaling, done some meditating, done some connecting with each other in a nice, safe container with myself. So we're always in our little sanctuaries, feeling cozy, getting together and going through all the latest lunar news, the energies that are current. And whatever I tell you about on this podcast today, we will deep dive into it much further on the online moon ceremony. So I will put the links to join for that into the show notes. And before you go, in case you don't stay too long, if you live locally to me in Essex, I'm in Chelmsford on the 28th of June. I will be co-hosting a lovely afternoon retreat, Sunday the 28th. That's at Highwood Village Hall in Chelmsford, where you will get 3 hours of escape from it all. So we'll be doing, Mandy Haynes will be teaching you a lovely slow heart opening, hip opening yoga session. And then I'll be doing some sound healing and she'll be going around giving you some Reiki healing during that time. And we always have a cup of tea and a slice of cake at the end, maybe some oracle cards, some crystals. Who knows? So if you're feeling the need to gather in person and needing just a small break that you can fit in before Monday arrives, then 28th of June. Also, before you go, I am aware that quite a lot of people are listening, but not hitting the like and subscribe button. So it would really, really help me out and obviously help others to get all of this news and information that I'm sharing with you out further into the world. It's my joy, it's my passion. And, there's no point in keeping it all to myself. That's why I'm here sharing it with you, because there is, stuff that they just don't share on the news, on TV, that really is useful for you to know. And I'm going to say that I am 100% convinced that those that hold the power over us have astrologers. They are using astrology and they like to diminish it like they do women and, anybody that gets diminished. They like to diminish it into something that has no power, because if we knew the power we had inside ourselves and the power around us that we could tap into and use, then they wouldn't have so much power. So, astrology as a secret weapon. And something else that I am bringing to my local environment here currently is using astrology to help you, guide you in your business. So if you have your own business, if you're a solopreneur and you want to have a secret weapon in how to get your messaging better aligned, how to get your branding better aligned, just to see what's coming up, so can feel the temperature and the forecast for what's coming, so that you've got tools to use that you might not know exist, then I am starting to offer business consultancy, astrology for business consultancy out there. So it's very new, kind of trailblazing it here on the quiet. So if you want to get in there whilst I'm experimenting with it, then please do message me. And also in the background, what's brewing is my Wild Spirit Collective app that you can come and join. So that's going to be a community membership where you can join. You can join when you like. You can leave when you like. If it's not for you, I won't take offense. There will be a founding offer. I'm going to be beta testing it with my small intimate group that have been coming to me for a long time, just to make sure it's all working. And I am squirreling away here, filling it up with content because there's no point arriving there and there's nothing there for you. So please do message me and let me know what you would like me to share with you, to teach you, what you would like to learn. You know, being part of a community, I'm making sure I've chosen a platform where you can actually message each other without having to be there. You can message me, we can all message each other. And there's going to be live classes in there, events, there'll be courses, and I will be launching my initiation course very, very soon. So watch this space. And it really is for those of us who have felt like the outsider, like we've been in exile for most of our lives because we've just had trouble finding somewhere we belong because we're a little bit much, we're a bit intense, we're a bit weird, we think differently, we think bigger, we see differently. You know, we've got gifts that others resent us for, all of that Lilith stuff. So with the subject of Venus entering Leo today, a big discovery of mine in my own birth chart is that I have Black Moon Lilith conjunct Venus in the sign of Leo in the ninth house. So just purely having Venus in Leo really means that, you know, I was born to be on stage. I spent my whole childhood and early adulthood being on stage. I went to theatre school full time, absolutely love performing. And that doesn't mean I don't love being my authentic self. It means I love entertaining and making a difference to people in the audience. And I am still doing that. But being that it's ninth house, it really has been my destiny to be talking about the bigger picture. Astrology is one of the subjects that's covered in ninth house themes. So the fact that I'm here with a podcast, with an audience, sharing higher learning with you is something that I was destined to do. And I knew about my Venus in Leo quite a while ago, but a more recent discovery, kind of at the end of last year, beginning of this year, is the Black Moon Lilith. And that is the thing that has put a fire in my belly, because Black Moon Lilith is where we have been suppressed. So just to give you an idea of where that's shown up for me is, you know, my gifts, my natural gifts mean that I want to be out there with an audience, sharing my wisdom and my gifts. But Black Moon Lilith comes along with those that resent. It kind of represents in my chart the haters that have made me feel the need to shrink, to disappear, to suppress, to not be my full self, to feel unsafe being my full self when I'm fully seen. So they are subjects which I am going to be really diving into. I'm working on myself because teacher teaches what she most needs to learn, and then I share it with you. And what better way to learn than to teach it? So enough about all of that. Let's go on to the subject matter in hand, which is the new moon in Gemini. So a new moon in Gemini, it just feels lighter to me. And I called this episode Enjoy the Interval because I feel like Venus just entering Leo today, the day before the new moon in Gemini, shortly before Jupiter at the end of the month also leaves Cancer after a lovely year or so of being in Cancer. Well, I say lovely, but it has expanded all my eighth house topics. So it may not have been as kind of abundant and optimistic as I would have liked it to be, but it has brought out the revelations of power struggles and things like that, things I needed to confront and face. So it's not been all bad, but I'm really looking forward to it expanding my ninth house. I really am. And come my birthday, 7th of July, I'll also be in a ninth house year. So I'm really, really excited that Jupiter is joining me for my ninth house year, which is all things Venus and Lilith in Leo. So Venus going in first before Jupiter, it's kind of like she's coming in as the warm-up act, if you like. So we've had half the show and we're now in the second half of the year. So this is like the interval where we all go off for an ice cream. We go to the bar to have a glass of fizz. We go off for a little chat during the interval time. That's what Gemini New Moon feels like. And new moons are always a time to set intentions, to think about what we want to begin, what we would like to start, what we'd like to move on forwards with, and leave anything we don't need behind. So we get this fresh start, once a month. So this is also, I believe, a super moon. So astronomically, the moon is closer to us. So we will feel that energy much more. And I'm just going to bring my notes up in front of me so I don't forget to tell you anything. So on go the glasses. And yeah, so 3:54 on the 15th here in the UK is the exact time of that new moon. So we've had in the past week, so it's the 13th today. On the 9th of June, we began the week with that beautiful conjunction between Jupiter and Venus in the sign of Cancer. So I always think of Venus in Cancer as self-love because Venus represents our self-worth, our values, our beauty. We start to think about how we look, how we value ourselves, our worth. And Cancer is that nurture, safety, loving, mother ourselves energy being expanded by the optimism and the abundant energy of Jupiter there. So I hope that Monday was a nice day for you. And I hope that you got to tap into that energy. The weekend before that, so from the Friday to the Sunday, I was actually at the Wild Retreat, the Wild Woman Gathering for the weekend. And it actually rained the whole day on Saturday. So we had to make alterations to the plans that day. I was doing readings from my camper van. It meant that I needed to have the door shut to stop the rain coming in. So we were really cozy in there and it felt really sort of Cancerian, cozy little home. Come in with me, have an astrology reading in the cozy warmth, out of the rain, out of the wind. And the gift of that rain, I discovered with many women said to me, the gift was that they got to nap a lot. And they said that, napping is something that they really don't give themselves permission to do. So it had to be raining for them to have permission to nap, to go off to their bell tent, their camper van and have a rest. So, the weather isn't always a curse. It can be a blessing in disguise. So this Gemini new moon, when I always do some research before I come online and what I want to share with you. And I sort of tap into what the big symbolism of the energy is. And I keep seeing, blink and you'll miss it. Do it now, make the most of things. It's a fun sign. It's a curiosity sign. It's conversation. That is Gemini's thing. It's very much about your local environment, your neighbors, you getting together with your siblings. I sense that the deeper symbolism of what's to come into July, it's going to go a little bit intense, like slightly off the scale. So I would say that the message is to not miss this window of temporary lightness. Don't go to the toilet for the whole of the interval and miss your drink at the bar, your ice cream and that chat in between the shows. And of course, we should probably heed the message of living for the moment all the time, but we would be forgiven for, getting caught up in the anxiety of this very unknown transformational shift of ages, eras, all the outer planets moving signs after being where they've been for a long time, alignments that have never been known in our lifetimes or even in our history books as far back as we can see. All this disclosure that's going on, such an unknown energy and time that we're in, this age of air, this Aquarius futuristic time where we feel very discombobulated. Uranus in Gemini, making our minds work overtime. Our nervous systems are frazzled. So being at that wild woman gathering with our feet on the earth, every time I opened the door, I could see a woman getting out of the sauna and jumping naked into the lake, grounding themselves, slowing down, breath work, yoga, pole dancing, feeling alive in the moment. I think, that was the perfect medicine to make us feel alive in the present moment. That's what it feels like. And we should really tap into that before things go a little bit more crazy. So my question to you, get your journals out. When was the last time that you felt truly alive in the present moment? And that ties in nicely with the question that I asked at the full moon in Sagittarius. My ring light has just gone out. I wonder what that means. The spotlight's just gone out, everyone. What does that mean? Everything is trying to reconnect at the moment. The internet's gone off. My light has gone off. What does this mean? I'm going to pause. Really. Okay, so that was interesting. We just had like a very, very brief power outage. So my Venus in Leo spotlight went out and I went offline. And so the symbolism of that is truly interesting. That is my Venus in Leo and then that black moon, Lilith, coming in. And today is a dark moon day. So, the message of the dark moon is always to turn inwards and to tap into how you're feeling on the inside, to rest and retreat. And here am I trying to put myself out in the spotlight. So previous to this, I actually had a little bit of me time before I came online. So I had a really long sleep last night and I was absolutely exhausted from lots of terrible news that I heard yesterday from various different sources. None of that news was my own, but being that I am the sensitive Cancerian empath, it really, finding it all out before I went to sleep was not good. I did try to put myself in a different space before I went to sleep, so I didn't, take it with me and bring it with me, but the result of that was a very, very deep sleep. And then I had a very long salt bath this morning and did a bit of pampering and getting dressed up to make my vibe a little higher, my frequency better before I came on here. So very interesting symbolism there. I'm hoping that the first part has recorded. Anyway, so where was I? I was asking you a journaling prompt, which was, when was the last time you felt alive in the present moment? And that actually ties in really nicely with a question that I asked at the full moon in Sagittarius, which was, when was the last time you made a decision purely based on how much fun you would have, without considering, was it useful in some way? Would this help me at work? Do I need to take my camera with me and film it for footage instead of just doing something purely for fun? So, hanging upside down, doing pole dancing purely for fun, rather than to get fit and look better and to show, all of those things. That being alive in the present moment really is coming up strongly for this new moon. So I would love to hear what came up for you with those questions. If you didn't answer them for the full moon in Sagittarius, maybe sit with that again. And, we've got another chance here, a new moon, a new beginning, a new start. So maybe setting an intention to live for the moment more often, to not regret things and to just go for it. Yesterday, one of the things that happened, I had contacted some friends that I haven't heard from for a while, and they've both been going through pretty traumatic things that I won't share. Another friend of mine, he contacted me and he's had lots of trauma. And all the time that I was getting all these messages yesterday from people that I care about, there were police helicopters and an air ambulance flying overhead. But all of this was happening yesterday, last night, It really felt very intense. So with things like that, that really is another message for us to just, stop letting our shit get in the way. Yeah. How much have we done that to ourselves? So even though we've got the Venus moving into Leo, and Venus actually made an alignment with Chiron just before she moved into Leo. And Chiron is in the last moments of Aries. It's going to be moving very shortly into the sign of Taurus. So we're at that very end of all the things around who am I. That's Chiron and Aries. That's the wound. That's what we've had to learn. That's what it's teaching us. And Chiron is generational. So that's a whole generation of people that have been, their sense of identity has been difficult in some way. And with Chiron moving into Taurus, it's going to be really looking at our self-worth and value. It's going to be looking at the earth, how we value the actual mother, the earth that we reside on, that we rely on, how we treat her. These are all going to be subjects, the wounding of the earth. These are all going to be coming up in the next 7 years, but we have just got that end 29th degree critical point of Chiron in Aries, and Venus was making a square to that just before she entered Leo. So just at that last degree of Cancer, she was squaring the last degree of Chiron in Aries. Sorry. So I saw, I think it was the Astro Twins, a post they had, and it said, "What's taken for granted will eventually be taken away." And it was really, that square there is really, it might have yesterday brought up old pains around self-worth, around cancer. The energy of Cancer is safety, security, belonging, being wanted, not being rejected. So this Leo energy is going to help us to feel more confidence, to step into a fuller expression of ourselves, to give us the ability to do that. Yeah. Venus in Cancer was, that desire to nurture, to hold space for our loved ones, but also bringing up that thing about, putting others before yourself. Where does looking after others, where's that line between giving to others and abandoning yourself? Self-abandonment is a big subject for me. It really, truly is. And that is some of the work that we're going to be doing inside the Wild Spirit Collective. So if that's something that you have had a lifetime of self-abandonment, leaving yourself behind due to others, then that is the place where we're really going to be doing the work together there. I really feel passionate about it. So old patterns about putting others first might be coming up to be seen right now. But with Venus in Leo, it's about us being seen. It's about you wanting to be seen, to be recognized, wanting to be adored. I've carried with me my whole life this strange feeling of walking around waiting to be discovered. So it's a bit like there used to be a program where they used to go around and they discovered models, and it's sort of like that feeling of walking through town hoping that somebody's going to discover me. And that is that Black Moon Lilith versus Venus in Leo energy, that wanting to be recognized and then having it taken away somehow and avoiding it. So it would show up as sabotage, but sabotage always comes along with a feeling of guilt and shame, I feel. So it's more about, forgiving yourself for that happening. But yeah, hence, I mean, there was just so much bad news yesterday. I had to have a lovely bath this morning and balance all these weird energies. And I really feel like, that square between Venus in Cancer and Chiron in Aries was being felt in many different ways yesterday for very many different people. On Monday coming, after this new moon in Gemini, there's going to be a lovely sextile between Venus in Leo and Uranus in Gemini, and that feels sparky. It feels like this scarf, little glimmers and sparks of fun and joy and creative like insights and exciting connections, because that will show up in my ninth house for me. I wonder if, I might get an unexpected invitation to travel somewhere. It's that kind of thing. So keep your eye out, be open to opportunities and unexpected creative sparks on Monday. And then on Tuesday, the creativity continues because Venus is in a nice trine to Neptune in Aries, that action on the dream. It's social. It feels like glamour. It feels like glamorous. Glamorous on a Tuesday. I mean, how decadent would that be? It's romantic. It's artistic. It's inspiring. So, follow what lights you up. That energy is coming up just after this new moon, this new beginning energy. Gemini is about learning. It's short courses, knowledge. And on what day was it? On Thursday, I went to London for the day. It was a big free event. You could have a VIP seat at the front row, but mostly people there were there on the free event. And it was a day called the Authority, with the word authority. So becoming an authority by launching a best-selling book, to share your wisdom, share your knowledge that you've gained, and to help put you in a position of authority. And it was a lovely day. I met some wonderful people. And it was quite funny because I seem to have this fatal attraction to Aquariuses. And I have joked about having a t-shirt made with like no more Aquariuses on it, because I've had so many Aquarius partners and boyfriends and dates and everything. But also my best friends are Aquariuses as well. So I love, 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 and are fatally attracted to Aquariuses. And at one point I was surrounded by 3 new women who I just met, and they were all Aquariuses. Can you believe it? And 2 of them were Italian Aquariuses. And Tom, my partner, he has lots of friends in Italy, actually speaks Italian. So he is kind of an Italian Aquarius. My neighbors are Italian as well. So there was lots of synchronous connections that day. And I really had fun. I had an adventure and I learned stuff. It's really felt like a very Gemini energy week. I've had so many communications, too many messages to get back to. Learning stuff. On Tuesday, I was online in the evening attending a money course that I had received in exchange for an astrology reading, and with other women talking about our money wounds and our money habits and patterns. And I'm also just starting a business coaching for creatives. It's like a 6-month container, and there's so much to learn. I was on a call about sales and marketing, and oh my goodness, it's really been, you can hear it in my voice. It's so Gemini. So we need to big inhale, long, easy exhale. We've also got Mercury in Cancer for 11 weeks, folks, the emotional communicator. So not just communicating through words, but through feeling, through creating, expressing ourselves, our emotions, through nurturing, through safety. So Mercury is going to be turning retrograde. And actually yesterday, the 12th, was probably the first day that we would start to experience this Mercury retrograde. And what just happened? The power went off. My internet went down. I had to wait for it all to come back on before I could come back and share this emotive, somewhat provocative talk that I'm having today with you. What I'm sharing with you is it can provoke stuff in you. Me turning up in my Venus in Leo outfit, sharing my sparkles and my gifts with you, that can provoke triggers. It can bring out the haters. This is all this. I feel like this Mercury in Cancer is very emotional. It's very sensitive, and it's going retrograde. So we're going to have to go back over those subjects in our charts that are in the house that Cancer resides in. So have a look at your chart. If you don't know your chart, please do contact me. We can do a reading. We can look at all these things and where they're showing up for you personally. We can look ahead and see what's coming. I did some lovely readings at the weekend at the Wild Woman Gathering as well. Super interesting charts, and probably the one of most Geminis I've ever met in my life. She really was truly Gemini, Sun in Gemini, Mercury in Gemini, all in the third house that is associated with all things Gemini. Brilliant. So, what else do I want to tell you about the summer solstice, June 21st, coming up? So, we've got so many fantastic energies to tap into coming up. So, no matter what is going on in the world, we know all this big shift, this unknown sort of discombobulating thing is happening, but there are good energies we can tap into if we know that they're there. What can we do for ourselves? Where can we put our focus so that it keeps us on a better trajectory? Yeah, that slowing down, getting into our bodies has never been more important. If you live locally, I teach Pilates Reformer a couple of times a week on a Monday and a Friday over in Rayleigh. Tap into the yoga. There are some yoga videos on my website. If you want me to do more of those, I can do more of those for you. Just let me know. Once the app is up and running, there will be some yoga in there as well, because yoga is my other love. It's one of the things. Strala yoga and astrology save me every single day. So when I get off of here, I'm going to be getting on to my mat to get into my body, to ground myself, to come back to myself. So I'm just going to have a sip of my coffee and then I'm going to pull us a card. So this is, I don't get sponsored by them, but dirty chai mushroom powder. I pop it into my lovely organic coffee and it's a total upgrade. So I have got here Yasmin Boland's Dark Moon Oracle cards because it is a dark moon day today. So I'm just going to, and these cards are, again, that word provoking, provocateur. I am the provocateur. My Sagittarius rising bluntness. There we go. What has come out sometimes can be a little bit provoking because I do like to speak the truth. Okay, so this card came out earlier when I was shuffling. I popped it back in and it's come back out again. So clearly this is the message for the day. And it says, break free. Break free from yourself. Break free from the ties that bind you. I'll grab the book and see what it says, but I'm sure you already know what it means. Use this new moon energy. Use this Venus in Leo energy to step into your fullest expression, to feel more confident, to start afresh, to live for the moment, to have fun and joy. Leo is about fun, about joy, generosity. So this card represents the energy of the dark moon in Aquarius. So have you been feeling stuck lately? Have you been being inflexible? There we go. There is that message to do yoga again. When this card comes up, it's very much a sign for you to break free or to be more flexible and fluid. We were focused on fluidity in my Pilates Reformer classes yesterday. It's about changing direction or adapting to new circumstances. And, the world is bringing us, life is bringing us new circumstances at a rapid rate right now. And if we are rigid about it, then it can feel more uncomfortable. Yeah. So Albert Einstein is often quoted as having said, the measure of intelligence is the ability to change. Use this Gemini energy. Gemini is the most adaptable, mutable, versatile sign of them all. So this energy is here for you to tap into. So be open to new ideas, adjust our thinking as we learn so that we can become wise to it. Yeah. So think about who you know who could help you. Release control, act for the greater good, embrace your weirdness and be innovative. They are the extra message from this card. Moving forwards is the key now. You have the power to unlock your freedom, so use it. Break free from old patterns. and embrace a more flexible, original approach. And we have got Uranus in the sign of Gemini for the next 7 years. And Uranus is innovation. Gemini is flexibility and ideas. So it's all there for you. I hope that this has served you in some way. I really hope that you can join me online tomorrow evening for our new moon gathering. It's on Zoom, 8 o'clock UK time. If you can't join me live, then just join on my website anyway, and I will send you the recording and you can do your own little private moon ceremony with everything that I've got to share there. We do some journaling. We tap into what things can be supportive for us, things like herbs and crystals and rituals and journaling prompts and meditations and connection with others who are like-minded weirdos, suffering from being out there, outside the room in exile, looking for somewhere to belong together. And we've found it. So anyway, the next time I see you will probably be around the solstice energy. So the sun is shining outside finally after a rotten week of rain and wind here in the UK. And new moon blessings to you. Please do contact me. Let me know how this energy is for you, where it's showing up for you. Book a reading with me and press that like and subscribe button and share this with your friends. See you all soon.